will understand that the Earth is diverse with various living organisms, be it animals, plants, or insects. But each of these organisms must adapt to their living conditions depending on which biome they inhabit. Whether this is a tropical rainforest, a warm, wet home to most of our Earth species, or a desert, a very dry, hot biome with a very low amount of rainfall each year. We can also look at a grassland, or also known as a savanna. This can be thought of as a biome where it's not necessarily a forest, but it's also not necessarily a desert. We can think of it as somewhere in between. Today we'll look at a tundra, which is the coldest of all biomes, where the land is dry and almost treeless. Let's look further into the tundra and what kind of species have adapted to these harsh conditions. You will find tundras in regions just below the ice caps of the Arctic that extend across North America to Europe, Siberia, and also at the tops of the very highest mountains in the world. A tundra can be thought of as something similar to a desert, with a very low amount of rainfall each year. But here the temperatures are dropping below 0 degrees Celsius, with the winters being long, dark for up to 10 months of the year. Which means the summers will be fairly short, but not necessarily any warmer. This does allow for some growing surface for vegetation. The vegetation has adapted to this cold and short growing season. You will see such as moss, lichens, shrubs that are very common in the land, while you will see very few trees, if any at all. If you do find trees in the tundra, you will see that they are very low to the ground, as the snow will cover them during the cold winters, and this provides some insulation. As mentioned, there are animals that live within the tundra with special adaptations that allow them to survive in the winter. This will be a coat of thick fur, shorter tails, and even additional insulation from the fat. Survival for these animals is crucial. In order to keep their numbers, they have learned to handle and survive the long cold winters, then breeding, raising their young during the short summers. Despite these harsh conditions that the animals already live in, we are seeing that climate change and even human encroachment are impacting their populations. Take the Vancouver Island marmot as an example. Currently listed as endangered under the Federal Species at Risk Act and the Committee on the Status of Endangered Species, these are known to be very social animals, living in burrows and subalpine meadows and hibernating throughout the winter. The marmot is finding difficulty continuing this way of life as their hibernation is either starting later or ending early due to climate change. This will eventually lead their vulnerability to predators, one of their biggest threats to survival. Thankfully, with more attention, we have seen a comeback from marmots in recent years thanks to organizations such as the Marmot Recovery Foundation. But despite their success, if we walked away today, this species would find themselves on the verge of extinction very quickly. Let's divert our attention towards the Arctic Ocean. We will now look at the beluga whale. These are incredible animals that have become known as social animals. We even call them the canaries of the sea. The beluga whale can produce many sounds, even relying on their hearing, their ability to echolocate in order to navigate or hunt for food. Beluga whales are covered in a thick layer of blubber that accounts for 40% of their weight. This of course helps keep them warm in the Arctic waters, where eventually they will shed some of their skin for the short summer. Beluga whales do see threats to their population with climate change, as the timing of the sea ice will lead to changes in their foraging behavior, their migration. Other threats include pollution, as contaminants could degrade their habitat, their immune system, and their reproductive system. Thankfully, the beluga whale populations are protected under the Marine Mammal Protection Act and are currently in the spotlight with the National Marine Fisheries Service to help prevent marine species from being at risk of extinction. In the coming weeks, Safe Worldwide will continue to bring education on biomes and awareness to animals facing extinction. Follow us via our social media outlets to see our work and how you can help make an impact for these animals.